So this is our Team Cup, 4 Team Cup teams, right? So Juliet's, Alicia, Elise, and myself, our 4 teams are doing these optional calls. And because we actually have a lot of brand new coaches who have just joined us, we decided to open it up to a lot of brand new coaches too. Hey, Pam. Pam's a brand new coach. She just signed on as a coach today. Dylan's I don't know if Dylan's a coach yet. Already a coach. Yep, Dylan's a coach. So we're going to be going over activities that are going to move our business forward and create momentum. So we just decided to open it to brand new coaches and our Team Cup teams. So hi, Amber.
Hi, guys. I can't see you yet, but my computer, I guess, hold on. Oh, there you are.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
I cleared my cache and deleted all my passwords.
No apologies. Okay. So these are going to be super casual calls. And Alicia and Juliet and I had like a prep call today so that we make the best use of your time, but we want to get through these calls in 30 minutes. And so I'm going to turn it over to them because they have some awesome ideas. But I thought just for your prep, everybody, it would be helpful to know what we're going to be discussing every Wednesday for the month of February. So tonight we are going to be talking about having a Success Club mentality, as well as how to follow up that is not pushy, not salesy, not yucky. We want these to be organic relationship building follow-ups. On February 6th, which is a week from today, we're going to be talking about handling objections. Shakeology is too expensive. I work out at Pure Barre. You guys have heard them all if you've been doing this for like a week or more. 213 is going to be how to use social media to really market your business. 220 is going to be inviting to a challenge group or a virtual community. And 227 is going to be the uncomfortable invites specifically to the coaching opportunity. Okay, so I'll put this in our Facebook group so you guys have it, so that if you're planning things and you're like, ooh, I can only make 2 Wednesdays, you can make the Wednesday calls on the topics that you know you need the most help with. So any questions on that? Cool. All right, so we're going to roll into follow-up. And since Juliet and Alicia, you guys have already had like a little thing going with your teams in January, I'm going to turn it to you.
Okay. Alicia, do you want me to start? There you are. So many people. So one thing, there's a couple different ways you can do follow-up, and there's ways that you can do it that doesn't feel great, but it's like, it doesn't feel great. Like, I really don't like this. Or there's ways that you're just a little uncomfortable. So this month we have been doing all our invites, right? So, and if you're a brand new coach, you know, like the invite is just kind of, and we can talk about this a little bit later, but it's just kind of asking someone, hey, do you want more information? It doesn't have to be directly asking to a challenge group. It doesn't have to be directly asking to something, hey, do you want to go to my community? But you want to follow up. The follow-up is huge, because think about how you started, okay? The first time maybe someone brought this to your attention, maybe you saw it somewhere. Did you jump right away? Most of us did not. Most of us, it was like, oh, the person sent us something, and then we, kind of forgot about it. Life got in our way, and we were like, oh, and you didn't remember. If the coach that invited you didn't follow up with you, you probably would have forgotten. So it's really important to follow up, but you don't want to follow up like the next day. You don't want to follow up 2 days later. It's fine to follow up within that week, or, keep a running log and follow up within the month if someone was like, no, definitely not now. You follow up just saying, hey, I wanted to let you know there's a new program coming out. Just wanted to give you a heads up. If it's the right time now, great. Let me send you some information. If it's not, totally fine. I'll keep you in the loop. It's a really good way to do it that way, because what we are doing is helping people. It's not that we're pushing products, pushing things that are not working, for us. So really you have to think about it as kind of really helping the person, but everyone has their time. Alicia, do you want to jump in? Because I could go and go.
Yeah. So just to echo what you said, I think your point about remember yourself, how long you watched your coach on social media, how many times you thought about it but said no, thought about it, said no, tried other things, right? So our future customers are doing the same things, right? They have the same behavior. And I remember, I don't know, it was back in the fall sometime, I was on one of our team calls and I talked about my Success Club points for the month. And I could talk about it this month, probably a year from now or a year ago. The majority of my Success Club points, and I think Juliet and Tracy could echo this too, they're not from someone's first conversation with me. Oftentimes they are multiple conversations. Now, sometimes I talk to somebody and the timing makes sense and the interest is right and they buy. That of course does happen. But the majority of people are people that have told me, no, not now, not the right time. And to Juliet's point, had I not followed up, I probably wouldn't have made that sale, or somebody else could have done that, another Beachbody coach, right, that they might be working with. And one of the things that in a professional environment, you oftentimes hear it takes 7 no's to get someone to finally say yes. And so the reason why, and I'm glad that Juliet said this before she disappeared in the polar vortex. I'm glad that Juliet mentioned that the follow-up, I feel like it always feels too soon for us, but it's probably not. And if you wait a month to follow up with a person every time you ask, it might be 7 months, right? Or if you do it once a week or somewhere in between, you're going to be able to get to that person to at least get an answer a little bit sooner. So I guess raise your hand if you have a system right now for follow-up. Like, do you have a system, or is it like kind of all over the place?
I mean, I should say I have a system, but it's a system in here, which maybe wouldn't make sense to the rest of you.
Your systems in your head make sense to you. So if it's working for you, great.
Totally.
I think that that is something to look at, is how do you keep track? Because there are people that I swore I just talked to, and when I go back and look at the Facebook exchange, it's a year ago. I'm like, how did I let a year go by from that person, right? So that would be one of the first things I would recommend, is get a system, and it doesn't matter what the system is. Pen and paper, a calendar. I printed something out on a piece of paper with these like Super Bowl squares that I'm tracking on. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be something, and you got to be consistent about that. So I have other things I want to add, but Tracy, anything on the system piece? Because I think that as you get busier, you're not going to remember everybody unless you've got something in place.
Yeah. So I mean, my system has changed 17 times in the 4.5 years I've been a coach. And I always am keeping a list that's paper and pen no matter what. And it goes with me in my notebook, because if I see somebody that I'm talking to, like for instance, I had a conference this morning at school, and the teacher actually was like, I really need to understand what you do in your challenge groups. I'm not going to remember to follow up with her if I didn't have that notebook where I write her name down, and I know that I can add that to my more like formal list that's on an Excel doc. I've tried everything from, Gmail Streak. I've tried them all. And the thing of it is that every brand new coach I've ever mentored does their follow-up differently. So you just have to find out what's going to work best for you, because to Alicia's point, if you don't have a system, everyone falls through the cracks, and there's nothing worse than following up with someone to find out that their friend from high school who's a Beachbody coach just signed them up for a challenge group. It really stinks when that happens, because you live in the same town with that person and you see them every day at pickup, and you just kind of dropped the ball. And because you dropped the ball, they wanted help and went with someone else who was a little bit more on top of it.
Yep. Can I add something too? So the notebooks, like as the girls were saying, that is a good way to start. But as you grow, it's going to get a little bit where you're just like having pieces of paper around. But I really stress on saving those notebooks, because you're going to go through those notebooks. I have probably like 8 or 9 notebooks, and I'll go through them and be like, you know what? That person never said yes. What I think Tracy and Alicia probably put that all in Excel document. I do use Streak, but if I never sent them an email, it probably was an initial conversation where they said, yeah, I probably am, interested later on, but I didn't put it somewhere else, so then they didn't get the follow up from me.
Yeah. And if you've been coaching for a month or more, you've seen my Excel color coded follow-up, which is all my Facebook people. And if you haven't been coaching for a month, it's now in Faithfully Fit Academy. So you're going to have a chance to see the way that I do it. A lot of coaches do it that way, and we just color code it so that all the oranges are people you've got to follow up with. All the reds are people that have told you no more than 3 times, however you want to do it. But let's move on from the tracking. So I think that's one of the main takeaways, is making sure that you've got a way to track who you're asking. We had a couple things that we definitely wanted to hit on, and another one is using the technology in Facebook and now in Instagram and in your text messaging to leave follow-ups with your voice. So I'm at the point now that a lot of times, like I think I left Pam 5 minutes of voice text this morning, because sometimes there's so much to discuss that, like, sitting down to type it, I don't have 20 minutes to do that. And I know Pam, right? But if I'm leaving a message for someone that doesn't know or trust me yet, and now all of a sudden they're hearing my voice, they're hearing my inflection, they're hearing the fact that I'm a real person, there's kids in the background, that it's very imperfect over here, they're more apt to be like, oh my gosh, like, I can sort of relate to her. She's sort of a mess. So am I, you know? So use that technology. And has anyone not used the technology before? Everyone knows how to use it? Cool, because your homework assignment is going to be to leave some follow-ups with your voice, which we'll get to at the end. So that's awesome. And everyone knows that you can now leave voice messages in Instagram when you're direct messaging somebody?
Yes. And can I say one thing though? So in Facebook and Instagram, it's only a minute.
Yes.
Okay?
Good point.
So like your voice text on text can be longer. And sometimes I forget where I am. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've been talking for 2 minutes and I'm on Instagram and I forgot what I said. So just kind of be mindful and thoughtful of that.
Yes.
You know what's so, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're leaving it and you go over a minute, it erases the whole thing. It doesn't just like cut you off. Like the whole message goes away.
And sometimes now you know, it's very shaky, because sometimes it will just like stick there and stay. And you're like, did that go through? Oh, damn it, I did too long. Or sometimes it goes up. Mine goes up.
Interesting. Mine always disappears. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing on a text, sometimes, Tracy, it will, if they listen to it, sometimes it goes away from there.
So they have to hit keep.
What I love that it's a minute, because you should not be talking. I mean, I'm sorry, Juliet, I also have done that too. But what's nice is if you know you only have a minute, it forces you. Amber's like, yeah, me.
I know. I was like, when Amber got on, I was like, that's my girl.
Yeah. You and Amber just need to get together and just talk. It's going to be great to watch. But what's good is that your follow-up should not be more than a minute, in my opinion. So it actually kind of forces you to keep it short and simple. And I think so long we look at 1,000 scripts that other coaches have written. We're trying to use the right word and the right punctuation and the right emoji. And it's like all the time we're spending trying to craft this perfect follow-up, it's not going to be as good as just getting on and just saying, hey. And then a couple things that I like to stress in the follow-up, Tracy, if you're good with me moving to this.
Yes, please do. Yes.
So it is the 30th of January. We have one more day, and Tracy's going to talk a little bit about overall mindset in a second, but the month is not over. And I hope that if you are sitting at Success Club 2 or 4, or even at 6 or 8 and want to get to that next level, like, please do not think that we're going to start with February already. Like, there is time to still make it happen. We've got examples of women all over this team that have like done it at the final hour of the final day of the final month, right? So we'll talk about that in a second, but there are some very real things about the end of the month. First, all the prices that you gave them initially are locked in for this month. Now, sometimes they extend it, right? Oftentimes they will, but this To Be Mindset promo, the Shaun T stuff, right? The refresh kit, like, there are 3 sales going on right now. And so your voice message to somebody who either hasn't gotten back to you or has a link out that hasn't done anything with, because that is so annoying. You're like, I know you opened it because I can see that you viewed it, right? It's, hey, I just wanted to follow up real quick just to remind you that the prices that I sent you and then we discussed are only good until the 31st of January. So if this is not the right time for you, that's okay. But I do want to make sure that you know that if you check it out at a later time, the price is likely to go up. Just checking in with you, right? So, and that's true, right? If you have friends and family that are helping you, I have even said to them, hey, it would really help me out, guys. If it doesn't matter to you, it would actually help me hit a month-end goal that I'm working for versus doing it on Friday or doing it on Saturday. And sometimes people are like, oh, okay. Like they don't realize the urgency behind it. So you've got to sometimes push them a little bit in a respectful way, but push them and have them be a little more urgent.
Yeah. And then with that follow-up, say to them, hey, can you just text me or email me just so I can make sure it went through on my end so there's no like hairy business and then you get stuck. Brandy, I got that from you.
I love what Alicia said though. Like, I think it's very important though that you always give people the out. And so what I love to say is this may or may not be right for you, but I wanted to let you know that the sale prices are changing. And if this is something that you want to participate in, my challenge group closes the same time that the sale price changes. And I always say it may or may not be a good time for you because then they're not afraid. If there's some sort of obstacle where they're just not ready, I want them to talk to me about that so that I can keep having conversations with them. When I don't give people the out, when I was a brand new coach and I would just be like, my challenge group's about to close. I need to know if you're in or not. And if it wasn't right for them, whether they didn't have the money or it wasn't the right time or they were feeling scared that they were going to fail or whatever it is, they would just sort of give me the shade, the fade. And all of a sudden you have no more dialogue with that person to be able to keep building trust. So I always love to give them the out because if they want the out, I want to know what the reason is so I can spend the next month talking through what that is.
Yep. Especially if there's like one of the sales of the other things or a new program coming out where you can really kind of tailor it to them.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of times where I'm like, hey, I know you said that T20 wasn't right for you. And I'm so glad that you told me it's because Shaun T is too fast for you. Well, guess what? You're also struggling with nutrition. Maybe we need to start with 2B mindset. And then we just start having more conversations and I'm patient and I'm massaging and I'm having the relationship with the person so I get them in the right challenge group with the right challenge pack. And when you have that mentality in your follow-up that is urgent but not pushy, you end up really building trust with people, which is so huge.
And then that's the referral. That's like when you get the referral because they're like, you know what, you made me feel like you weren't like a used car salesman throwing it down my throat, which you never want to do.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the point, right? Is that it does not feel good to be sold to or pushed like that for us as consumers. I don't care if you're like virtually being a consumer or at a store, like that's not a good feeling. And it's not a good feeling to do, right? And I think that people are pleasantly surprised when you give them the out because they're like, oh, yeah, actually, this doesn't make sense to me right now. You're like, cool. And the indifference also, I think, is very attractive to people because you're not desperate. Like, please be in my group, please, please. Like, that might not make you appear like you're a great coach with this booming business, right? So I'm not saying you need to fake anything, but I want people to know that, like, I don't need them. I'd like them, but I don't want them to think that, like, I'm relying on them because that also sometimes leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. So,
right. And we know, like, everyone's starting. We were in the same spot where it was like, oh my God, I just want to get to that Success Club 6, right. And you lose sight of it. We've all been there. We've all done that, but we're kind of here trying to help you kind of, all of a sudden you'll see where you kind of settle and it just feels more comfortable being okay with being like, if it's not the right time, that's great.
And you also want to end with a question. So a lot of times as new coaches, we'll be like, okay, so just let me know. And that's not how you want to end a follow-up, right? Not let me know. So there's a lot of different ideas out there. It's, my challenge group is going to be closing. If you want to be part of this roster, I need you to let me know by Tuesday. How does that sound? ? Or does this group sound like something that would be a good fit that aligns with your goals right now? ? Or if you're leaving a voice text, a follow-up voice text, what I will always do is be like, all right, girl, can't wait to hear from you. And then I'll stop my voice text and then I'll go and do a one-liner that I type. Hey, excited to hear from you. Can you let me know by Friday if this group sounds like it's the right fit for you? Right. And so then if anything, they're not going to listen to my text, but they see that there's a follow-up and now they're going to go back and listen. They're going to hear my voice. So you always want to have something specific that you're ending with. Never, ever, ever let me know.
Because they're not going to let you know. Right.
Yeah. So it's not being pushy. It's giving them the out, but it's also being very specific with the questions because you do need to know. You do need to know because you're planning your groups and you're, just figuring out how to follow up with them. Okay. So before we sort of close it out, because we've got like 8 more minutes, are there any questions specifically around follow-up that any of you guys have? Any obstacles that you faced? Anything that's been an aha moment in this discussion? Amazing. You guys make it easy. Okay.
I think it's the way we presented it, actually. We were so right on spot that there was no gray area.
Amber has
What are
something.
you guys saying when you say Google Streak for your memory jogger?
So so that is, it's a technology you can download and overlay on top of a Gmail account that acts as a CR.
Yeah.
It's basically like all of your customers. It's where you can house them, and you can actually set up emails that get automatically sent out to people. And a lot of people swear by it. I use an iPad for most of my business, and it didn't work on an iPad for some reason. So I never got into it. Tracy did it for a while. Some top
I
coaches.
I use it because you can see when the person's viewed it. So like that actually helps me with my follow-up, but I don't use it the way there's all these pipelines and you're supposed to organize it. I have everyone in one pipeline and I just go through it. But it works because I can see, oh, you know what? And I put like all my free leads in there too. So I can go through, and I haven't figured it out. It takes a while, but it does help if. And
there's a whole Streak tutorial, I think, in the second to last module of Faithfully Fed Academy. So you can look at that and you'll know in the first 5 minutes if that's going to match your brain type in the way that you are able to organize. And if Streak is like getting you excited, then like keep watching. If you're like, whoa, that's overwhelming me, then try something else, right? That's the cool thing. You guys each do your own thing and figure out the own way that you're going to run your business.
But you can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Amber, you may only use parts of it, like Juliet was saying. Like, as organized as I am, I hate the organization of Streak. But being able to see how many times somebody opens your email and views it is huge, because then you get a notice that they went back to it. They'll go back to it like 3 months later and open it up, and you'll be like, oh, wow, she read it again. Let me wait another day, and then I'll reach out to her again. So that's a really nice aspect.
Like the dating thing, you got to wait 3 days.
Yeah.
That's like it's a perfect follow-up tool. That's a great
If
tool.
anything, Streak's free. Download it in your Gmail account so you get the little green eye and you can tell if people have looked at your emails. It's a great point.
The only thing I'll add on that, Amber, and this is for everybody, whether it's Streak or not, I found myself as a new coach trying to figure out all these ways to procrastinate from actually inviting people. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to get my whole Facebook account perfect. And I went into Streak, I crafted all these emails that I never sent because I was waiting until they were perfect. And I'm like, I haven't invited anybody because I'm trying to organize too much. So I would just say that monitor how deep you go in the organization factor. I think it should be taken in pieces. I'm trying to get through A to C on my leads by the end of this month, which is tomorrow, right? Because that's too much. It'll prevent me from doing other higher value activities at the same time. So just be mindful of how deep you go on the Streak or whatever rabbit hole, because I think that could be overwhelming.
Yeah, don't overfocus.
12-week year. Put it on your PD list. It's a huge book in terms of being able to quantify your goals and not make them so overwhelming. Okay, so I want to be really cognizant of everyone's time. So here's how we want to close it. And instead of going through all the homework, we're just going to do a post in our Facebook page. And the homework is basically business building activity, right? But like Alicia was alluding to, it's so important before we get started, whether you're doing the Team Cup or whether you're a brand new coach, right? You want to make sure that you have a success club mentality, period. And when it comes down to it, no matter what your why is for why you're coaching, it's proven that people who hit Success Club 5 for 12 to 24 consecutive months set themselves up for making a $50,000 business the following year. People who hit Success Club 10, 12 to 24 months, and the reason that it's 12 to 24 because there's a lot of other factors that go in there, but 12 to 24 months, Success Club 10 for a full year, the next year you're setting yourself up to make over 75 grand. That's what the average is in the entire network. And so it's not so much making sure you have the 3 to 5 the 3 to 5 people. 3 people is Success Club 6, 5 people is Success Club 10. It's not so much the number. It's having that consistency of constantly having people in your pipeline that you're helping. And when you have that consistency and when you have the Success Club mentality and it's happening for you month after month after month, not only is it building momentum, but you're getting referrals, you're getting coaches that pop out of nowhere because you've got these challengers that you're constantly funneling into your challenge groups. So what is easy to happen, it doesn't matter how long you've been coaching, where it's like the 30th and you might be at Success Club 4 and you're like, okay, who can I get for February to make sure I hit Success Club 6? 3 people, okay, I'm just not going to do anything on the 31st because I need to save those 3 people for February, right? That's like sort of a sandbagging thing. And we've all done it. I don't want to, it's not that we're judging it. We've all done it. What we've learned the longer that we've coached is that when you sandbag like that, it ends up hurting your momentum, and there's a problem with your belief system. If you're feeling like you need to like hoard people and wait for the next month, you're not truly believing that you're the type of coach that can help at least 3 people a month. And that's a bigger problem if you don't believe it. And so a lot of times you might be looking at all of your people and you're like, I really don't know how I'm going to hit Success Club. That's what these groups are for, to give you activity to do that's going to help you with your social media, your inviting, your talking, your conversations, and then what to do when somebody's like, all right, give me more information. And you're like, I don't know what to say, right? So we're going to help you with that. But the main thing is having the belief that you have a journey and you have a story inspiring enough that will definitely help 3 people a month. You've got to believe that. And if you don't believe it, talk to your coach every single day if you need to, because you can borrow your coach's belief until you believe it yourself. So the whole thing we want to make sure before we get off this phone is that everyone is hitting Success Club in January, tonight and tomorrow, and everyone is also hitting Success Club February, March, and April, right? We want to go into it not sandbagging, putting the pedal to the metal tomorrow just as much as we would on February 1st. Make sense?
Yep. Trace, can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
What Alicia said earlier, when you do that sandbagging, sometimes you're losing people, because if someone's ready at that moment and you wait 2 days, you're letting them think. And then they're like, oh, I don't think I could do it anymore. So you're just going to hurt yourself in the long run. So you just plow through, just keep moving forward. You never stop or go back. You just go forward.
No one's looking over their shoulder.
Nope. Okay. That's quiet for a long time. I'm awkward.
All right. So we are going to give you guys some social media ideas. All right. To keep your social media fresh, be looking for that. And then I will plug in some of the homework, and it's not just homework for you guys. Alicia and Elise and Juliet and myself, like, we need to roll our sleeves up and work just like you do. When Alicia was like, I'm going to do social media, I'm going to give everyone a topic and we're all going to post on the same thing, I was like, sweet, I need the help. I need the fresh ideas. So we're all doing this together. We all start at 0 on February 1st. So we all have our same amount of work to do. So we're in it together. We've just been doing this a couple days longer than you have. So that's the only reason why we're running this call.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. So you're going to put the homework in the Facebook page, right?
Yes, the first homework is next week. People have to talk.
Right.
Oh my goodness. I'm just kidding. You know, I'm an extrovert. I like to have feedback. Okay.
So Tracy, last year, I think it was in August.
Mike, what's up? I'm Tracy. We've never formally met, but we're going to have a date soon. Don't worry.
I've heard of you before.
I've heard of you. He just got home from a business trip for 3 days. Hi.
Oh, all right.
I have to go right now.
Great.
All right. See you
All right.
guys.
Bye, Alicia.
Bye, Lisa.
You know what? Can I just add one last thing? I'm so sorry. Tracy, in August, you had this great calendar of like ideas of what to post every day.
Yeah.
It was so helpful because it kept things fresh. And I don't know if that's an idea for February we want to revisit.
Yeah, that's what Alicia's doing. She's going to post it for us. So we're going to get 1 week at a time, AKA Alicia herself. And she's pretty good on social media. So we'll just copy her. Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, gang. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.